Hare Krishna, Gauranga. I'm going to share a little short story that has a moral. This story came from these children's books called the Panchatantra. It's like a quite common books, magazines that you can get in India. So there was a jackal in the forest, and he was being chased by the local village dogs. So they were running after him, barking, chasing him out of the village. And he ran off, and as he was running through the houses, he fell against these pots, and he got covered in blue dye from head to foot. Some kind of food dye or cloth dye, something like that. And when the dogs saw him, they were scared. Obviously, it's such a strange sight. This completely covered in blue jackal. And then when he was walking through the forest, some of the wolves saw him, and a tiger saw him, and other animals saw him, and they were all running scared, to see such a strange blue jackal. And he was wondering why everybody was, seeing him and then running away. And it wasn't until he actually looked in the river, saw his reflection, and he saw that he was all blue. Now, he was very cunning, the jackal, and he thought, I can use this to my advantage. So he went before all the animals and says, I have been given empowerment by God to be your king, to rule all over the other animals. So you must now give me worship. So he started delegating all the animals to do different jobs and tasks. And this went on for a few weeks. And then one day, there was some other jackals nearby, and they started howling. And then when they started howling, his nature came out. He couldn't help it, and his nature came out, and he started to howl also. And then that revealed that he was actually just an ordinary jackal, And all the other animals were so wound up, of course, and so fried that he had faked some position, and they all started to chastise him really heavily, and so on and so forth. And the moral of the story is that one cannot hide their real nature for long. Now, there's two ways of looking at this. One seems to be very negative, and the other seems to be really positive. But actually, both are good versions. I suppose what the so-called negative is that our material conditioning and our behavior cannot be kept hidden for so long. If we're in Krishna consciousness and we are practicing devotional service, but we are maintaining material attachments, and we are acting sometimes in even ways that are against the regulative principles, or in a very low devotional service mentality, very, very neophyte in our principles, in our ability to follow, then it'll come out eventually. They say everything comes out in the wash, right? If you put a laundry in, and dirt comes out, and anything that's been left inside, if you leave something in your pockets, or so all the secrets and all the stuff that's hidden in the back will come out, especially when we go in front of really advanced devotees like the spiritual master and so on and so forth, or just by being in the association of devotees in general, we can see that how effulgent and how incredibly mannered they are, and how advanced their devotional practices are by their mood, and they'll soon see how we speak, how we look, and how we act, and we'll also ourselves will feel guilt and feel quite disturbed and quite lost, and eventually we'll start to wander off from devotional service. So your material nature will come out, it will come out if it's there. So that seems like, that seems a bit kind of, oh my God, so we can't escape from our material conditioning. But that is actually a good thing, because that means that we have to purify it. We have to do something to cleanse the heart. We have to practice Krishna consciousness really intensely, really strictly. It says that in the Nectar of Instruction, that if we just simply practice these rules and regulations, but not to make advancement and just simply for the sake of following them, that's an offence. That's not the way we should be doing Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is about advancing and going back to Godhead. It's about letting go of the material designations. It's one of the 10 offences is to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It's the 10th offence, right? And the chanting of the holy name. But on the other hand, what's the positive thing? Is that our true nature cannot be concealed for too long. What is our true nature? Our true nature is not all those, sinful mentality or material enjoyment mentality, or it's certainly not bodily. It's not the body. It's not the body covering attachment that we have. It's not our country or accent or whatever it is. It's not our preferences of sports and foods and all this other stuff, all this other baggage. It's nothing to do with all those things. Our real nature is that we are the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in an eternal relationship with Krishna. So that true nature cannot also be concealed for too long. It may seem that in one sense it has been concealed because we've been in the material world for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. But that nature eventually shines through and comes out. The true nature of the self is always anxiously waiting to get out. So that's the good news. Our true nature will always shine through because Krishna is presenting different options. As we've discussed many times before, Krishna is giving us different ways to reawaken Krishna consciousness. And there's one verse in the Bhagavad Gita that does show the other nature of, that kind of encapsulates the idea of having sense enjoyment tastes and not being able to let them go simply by renunciation. So this is verses 259, and it says, Vishaya vinivartanti niraharasya dehana rasovarjam rasopyasya param drishva nivartate. And the translation I don't know off by heart. It says, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So Prabhupada says in the purport, a very short purport but really nice, Prabhupada says, unless one is transcendently situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. Yeah? So we're trying to let go all the material desires, and we're trying to, we're kind of trying to fake it to make it a little bit sometimes, We go in among the association of devotees and we see them chanting and dancing, and sometimes we see really advanced devotees and we think, oh my God, I'm nothing like that, but let me at least try and act like I am. But they can see through that, and in many ways we can see through our own self. But rather than just thinking, okay, I'm just going to restrict and just keep going, no, gain the higher taste, and in that way our true nature of the self will come out. The spiritual nature of the soul will shine through. And then we don't have to worry about, carrying all the rest of the stuff. That's gone. Just as we heard in 1866, the last of the 30 key verses that I spoke, I spoke mostly on that purport of Srila Prabhupada saying that Krishna will carry everything. All your sinful reactions are gone. All your sinful desires are gone if you simply surrender, and the true nature of the self comes out. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.